Ethan, are you certain you want to be recalled by the system? A disembodied voice echoed in his mind. Once you confirm, in 7 days, every trace of you in this world will be erased. Ethan Cole closed his eyes, his silence lasting only a fraction of a second before he gave his unwavering answer. Yes, erase me from this world. Wipe away every trace. But my diagnostics detect that your wife in this world is pregnant, the system pressed. You would erase the child as well. Ethan's calloused fingers rested on an ultrasound photo, the child he had longed for. But not anymore. Yes, he said, his voice strained. Erase the child, too. The words were a betrayal of his own heart. A tear escaped, hot and sharp, rolling down his cheek as a visceral pain seized his chest. No one knew he was a traveler, an entity sent to this world with a single mission, to win the love of Juliana Croft and, in doing so, save her life. In his original state, he was nothing more than a symbiotic life force. Juliana, born with a rare and fatal genetic condition that chilled her body from the inside out, was never meant to live past 20. He was her only cure. He wasn't supposed to develop feelings for her. But Juliana had fallen for him hard. She had even taken a knife for him once, an act that nearly cost her own life. Moved by her devotion, he had chosen to sever his connection with the system, to remain here, with her. The price for staying had been steep. Juliana's condition, though managed by his presence, still leached away at him, a slow, daily decay. 5 years ago, his legs had given out. He'd been confined to a wheelchair ever since. Juliana's love, however, had seemed bottomless. She showed no revulsion at his disability. She spent 6 months learning from the world's best engineers to personally design and build him a wheelchair, a masterpiece of carbon fiber and customized tech, the only one of its kind. Fearing he would feel insecure, she never attended a gala or high society event without him. She would push his chair herself, her hand resting on his shoulder, and introduce him with a voice full of pride. This is my husband, Ethan. Her eyes would shine with an unmasked, fierce love. The other men at those parties would watch him with envy, wondering what a broken man like him had done to deserve a woman like Juliana Croft, a woman often called the perfect wife, who stood by him even after he was crippled. Worried he'd be bored, she had transformed a room in their penthouse into his personal sanctuary, a world of miniatures. Every intricate Lego model, every detailed diorama, they had built together piece by piece. Knowing he loved animals, she brought home a pedigreed British Shorthair, a smoky gray cat she named Ash. So, when I'm working late, Ash can keep you company, she'd said. You'll never be lonely. She'd even told him she never wanted children, that having him was enough. For 5 years, she'd been on birth control, except for last month. At his birthday dinner, she'd had too much wine. They'd been careless. And now, she was pregnant. It should have been the best news of their lives. He was ecstatic, ready to be a father. But Juliana had told him she didn't want to keep it. Her reason, a baby would take time away from him. He had almost believed her, until a few days ago, he'd stumbled upon the truth. Juliana had another home, another life, and in that life was another man, Leo Vance, the man Ethan considered his best friend. He had seen the pictures. Juliana, eating food Leo had cooked, holding their adorable son in her arms, basking in the joy of motherhood. Then she would come home to their penthouse and become the perfect wife again, telling anyone who would listen how she adored Ethan Cole, how she couldn't live without him. And that part was true. Juliana couldn't leave him. If she did, her condition would return. She would die. The moment he saw his life for the lie it was, he no longer wanted to stay. He no longer wanted Juliana. Ethan looked down at the divorce papers in his hands, drafted by his lawyer that morning. He needed nothing from this world. The agreement stated he would walk away with nothing. He signed his name with a quick, decisive stroke, sealed the papers in a FedEx envelope, and scheduled a pickup. The instructions were clear. Deliver it to Juliana's office in 7 days. Next, he called Mount Sinai's OB/GYN department and scheduled an appointment for an abortion in 3 days. Finally, he posted an ad on Pet Finder for the British Shorthair. He had just finished when Juliana walked in, holding a model of a new luxury car. She came up behind him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders and leaning in close. Her breath was warm against his neck as she smiled, bright and happy. For you, she murmured. A Bentley model. Do you like it? She kissed his cheek lightly. Ethan stared at the model car. It was blue. He suddenly remembered that his best friend, Leo Vance, had a thing for blue Bentleys. It seemed she'd just come from seeing Leo and their son, and this penthouse was merely a convenient stop on her way home. He didn't reach for the gift. He just looked at Juliana's radiant face and said, each word a carefully placed stone, I thought blue Bentleys were Leo's thing. Hearing Leo's name, a flicker of panic crossed Juliana's eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. She blinked, then knelt before him, looking up into his face. Her voice was a soft, gentle caress. What's wrong? Why bring up Leo all of a sudden? Don't you like the car? If you don't, I'll never buy you one again. Ethan looked down at her, at the beautiful, fox-like eyes that had once captivated him. Now, he felt nothing but a dead calm. It's nothing, he said coolly. Just remembered he likes them. Actually, he hasn't been over in a while. Why don't we invite him for dinner tomorrow? Panic flickered in her eyes again, more noticeably this time, but she masked it with a familiar, doting gesture, reaching out to cup his face. Oh, has my baby been feeling lonely? It's all my fault. I've been so swamped at work. 2 major projects are launching. I'll try to clear my schedule this weekend. We can drive upstate, watch the sunrise over the lake. How's that sound? Ever since he'd lost the use of his legs, Ethan hated crowded, noisy places. He'd become fascinated with sunrises and sunsets, with quiet, scenic landscapes. To give him the best experience, Juliana had spent a fortune on a secluded private estate on a lake upstate. For the past 5 years, she'd made time to take him there for a month at a time, just the two of them, watching the day begin and end. How could someone who loved him so fiercely change so completely? But there would be no more weekends. No more us. Ethan forced himself to remain calm. I just haven't seen Leo in a while. He told me last time that he's seeing someone, but I've never even met her. And tomorrow's his birthday. We could have him bring her over. The 4 of us could catch up. He looked directly into her eyes. My phone's in the bedroom. It's a hassle to get it. Could you call him? Juliana froze for a second, then quickly recovered, stroking his hair under the guise of concern. Sweetheart, I just don't want you to overexert yourself. Why don't we eat out tomorrow? I don't want to go out. His stare was unwavering. You know, it's not easy for me. Okay. She nodded with a smile, then pulled out her phone and dialed Leo's number. The call connected almost instantly. Leo's warm, magnetic voice came through. Juliana, babe, she cut him off. Leo, Ethan was just saying it's your birthday tomorrow. He wants to invite you over to our place. Are you free? There was a distinct pause on the other end. Then put Ethan on. Juliana handed the phone to Ethan. Leo's voice immediately shifted, becoming apologetic and brotherly. Hey man, I'm so sorry. I already made plans with my girlfriend for tomorrow. She's taking me out for my birthday. I know it's been a while, and you probably want to grab a drink, but this is the first serious relationship I've had in forever. You know how it is, man. Cut me some slack, huh? First serious relationship? With your best friend's wife? The thought was a spike through Ethan's heart. Sounds like she really loves you, Ethan said, his voice dangerously smooth. Leo's tone was smug, full of happiness. She does. She's amazing to me, always getting me these collectible figures and models. A blue Bentley model by any chance? Ethan asked. Juliana's face went rigid. Ethan continued mildly. What a coincidence. Juliana gave me a blue Bentley model today, too. I remembered you liked them. A brief silence on the other end, then a nervous laugh. Juliana's always been so thoughtful. You're a lucky guy. Anyway, I've got to run. Work's piling up. Let's catch up soon. The line went dead. Ethan handed the phone back to Juliana. Looks like I won't be getting any of Leo's birthday cake tomorrow. And I even got him a big gift. What a shame. Another pair of limited edition sneakers? Juliana smiled, playing along. For years, Ethan had spent weeks picking out the perfect birthday gift for Leo. Rare designer shoes, sought-after collectibles. It was a familiar ritual. Ethan wheeled himself over to a large cabinet, pulled out a large box, and handed it to Juliana. This is what I got for him. It was, predictably, a large Hermes box, exquisitely wrapped. You're so generous, baby. Juliana reached out and squeezed his cheek. My legs make it hard to get around, Ethan said flatly. You give it to him for me, and make sure he only opens it in 7 days. Otherwise, it won't be a surprise. Why 7 days? She asked, a little confused. Ethan managed a thin smile. Because there's something very rare inside. It's only meaningful if it's opened in 7 days. You have to give it to him in 7 days, okay? Juliana was always so obedient, always listened to him. As expected, she smiled and promised. Don't you worry, sweetheart. Mission accepted. Just as she finished speaking, her phone buzzed. The screen showed an unknown number, but her expression shifted instantly. It was obviously a burner phone. Leo's. Honey, I have to take this. Work has been absolutely insane. Everything needs my approval. She hurried off toward the study. Ethan watched her retreating back, his eyes turning red. He reached for a pair of noise-canceling headphones on the cabinet and put them on. Just before she'd arrived, he'd had someone install a bug in her study. The moment he put them on, he heard Leo's voice tinged with irritation. Babe, how could you give a blue Bentley to Ethan? You said that was our special model, just for me. Juliana's gentle, placating voice came through the headphones immediately. My dearest Leo, you're the best. Next time, I'll only get one for you, okay? Don't be mad at me, please. That tenderness, once reserved only for Ethan. The pain in his chest was so sharp it felt like he couldn't breathe. He clenched his fists. He heard Leo again, his voice oozing with happiness. Well, don't forget my birthday party tomorrow. You promised you'd take me and Caleb to the amusement park first, then shopping, and you have a surprise for me at night. I'm waiting. Of course, Juliana cooed. When have I ever broken a promise to you? I'll pick you and Caleb up first thing in the morning. Hearing the name Caleb, Ethan trembled. That must be their son's name. Leo and Juliana. Such a loving family. And he, Ethan, was just the third wheel, the inconvenient obstacle. A little boy's sweet voice piped up on the other end. Mommy, Caleb was a good boy. Are you going to bring lots of toy cars for Caleb tomorrow? Yes, my sweet Caleb. Mommy will bring you so many toy cars, Juliana chirped, her voice pitching higher. She clearly adored her son. For years, she had told Ethan she disliked children, that she didn't want to divide her attention. She had said their love didn't need a child to validate it. It turned out she just didn't want his child. Ethan's hand drifted back to the ultrasound photo. This little life was destined to never see the world. It was for the best. At least the child would never know it had a mother who lived a lie. That night, Juliana held him from behind, her body pressed tight against his. Her lips trailed from his neck to his shoulder, her breathing growing heavier. Her hand moved to his waist, trying to pull down his pajama pants. But Ethan stopped her. Not tonight. My stomach feels off. I'm not up for it. Juliana wasn't disappointed. Instead, she was tender and considerate, gently rubbing his stomach as she had done so many times over the years. She held him, her voice full of heartache. Ethan, let's never be apart. I love you. I really, really love you. Love? Love him enough to have a secret family on the side? How could one woman serve two masters? Ethan didn't speak. He just closed his eyes. 6 days left. Then he would disappear, and Juliana's declarations of love could be directed to one man, and one man only. The next morning, Juliana prepared his breakfast as usual. She even gave Ash a can of his favorite wet food, and the cat curled up contentedly in a patch of sun on the balcony. Everything was deceptively calm. She was wearing a pale blue dress that accentuated her long legs. She was already beautiful, but the blue made her skin look flawless, almost incandescent. Ethan remembered that Leo liked blue. Was she wearing it to celebrate his birthday? The irony was brutal. He had given her that dress for their wedding anniversary last year. She was wearing their anniversary gift to go on a date with her lover. She leaned in and kissed his cheek, same as always. Babe, I'm off to work. See you tonight. I have a little surprise for you when I get back. As she turned to leave, Ethan reached out and accidentally caught the hem of her dress, pulling off a few of the small, delicate rhinestones. The trim is torn. You should change. Juliana paused, then smiled and went upstairs. She came back down wearing another blue dress, this one a shorter skirt she had bought herself. Be good. I'm heading out. Wait for me. Ethan listened to the sound of her car starting. He wheeled himself out of the penthouse and called the Uber driver he had waiting down the street. She's on the move. Follow her. He had to see it for himself, just how perfect their little family was. The Uber followed Juliana's car to an exclusive, gated community in Westchester County. Through the car window, Ethan saw a small boy, maybe 3 or 4, leap into Juliana's arms. He looked just like Leo. Leo, dressed in the latest season from Armani, came out and wrapped an arm around Juliana's waist, pulling her in for a kiss. The sight seared Ethan's eyes. For a moment, he wasn't even sure what love was anymore. He remembered their first kiss, how Juliana had trembled with excitement, vowing to seal that moment in her memory forever. Now, she kissed another man's lips without a trace of guilt. He started to wonder if she had ever loved him at all, but it didn't matter anymore. In 6 days, he would be gone from this world. Juliana would never find him. The three of them went to the largest amusement park in the area. To avoid being seen, Juliana had paid a fortune to rent out the entire park for the day. Ethan just sat in the car, staring at the park gates. Soon enough, Leo posted on Instagram. A carousel of 9 photos. Juliana wasn't fully in any of them, but an arm, a hand, a sliver of her dress was visible in each. The centerpiece was a photo of a massive diamond ring on his finger. The caption read, "My wife said she wanted to give me a birthday I'll never forget. She rented out the whole park for me, got me this incredible ring, and promised to love me forever." Feeling like the luckiest man alive, Love you, babe. Ethan recognized the ring. A month ago, he'd seen the design sketches for it in Juliana's study. He thought it was a surprise she was planning for him. It turned out it was for Leo. She'd been planning this for over a month. So thoughtful. He remembered all his birthdays, how she would put so much effort into them. One year, she'd even folded him 1,000 paper cranes, like a teenager in love, saying she wanted to make up for not knowing him when he was 18. He had held those cranes and cried, thinking he wanted to marry her all over again in the next life. What a fucking joke. Ethan's heart seized again, the pain so intense it felt like it would explode. He stared at his phone as the comments rolled in from their mutual friends. Leo, you lucky bastard. That ring has to be what, 30 carats? Your girlfriend is loaded. Not just rich, but generous, willing to spend that kind of money on you. You hit the jackpot. Definitely rich. Look at the watch on her wrist in that photo. That's a limited edition Patek Philippe, at least $500,000. Looks like Leo's girl is a major player, on the same level as Juliana Croft. Those two guys have all the luck. We all know how protective Juliana is of Ethan. Looks like Leo's girlfriend is going to be the next wife of the year in our circle. Wait, doesn't Ethan's wife have that same watch? I think so. Isn't it a global limited edition? Wow. So Leo's rich girlfriend is in the same league as Juliana. That brotherhood sure has a type. Lucky them. Then, Leo himself replied to the comments. My wife can't be compared to Ethan's. She's rich, yeah, but she's always so busy she barely has time for me. Still, I can't complain. She gets me whatever I want. I told her I liked swimming, so she had a pool built for me. She says she likes a man with energy, since she's so active herself. So I make sure to keep up with her. The comments section exploded again. Whoa, talk about showing off. Things getting spicy in the pool. Take it easy, Leo. Don't throw out your back. You're the only one who got the memo, man. Leo's living the high life. Good for him. Who wouldn't be happy with a sugar mama like that? Hey, Leo, don't forget your boys. Introduce us to some of her friends. Every comment was a dagger twisting in Ethan's gut. Leo was practically screaming it. Juliana wanted a healthy, vital man. But Ethan's legs had been useless for 5 years. He couldn't go hiking, couldn't play sports, couldn't keep up. She had told him, over and over, that she didn't care. But the second his back was turned, she was in a swimming pool with Leo. Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. He couldn't take it. Swallowing the pain, he told the driver to take him home. Back at the penthouse, he hired a moving crew. Then he went online and posted on a popular collector's forum, giving away entire collection of limited edition models and figurines. Free. Just leave your address and post a comment saying, Ethan, you got this. The post went viral, hitting the top of the site's trending list. Thousands of people left their addresses, eager for a free, rare collectible. Ethan had the crew clear out the glass display cabinets, carrying every single model out of the room. He called a logistics company and gave them the list of addresses. One model for every person. Those models, all 900 of them, were pieces he had painstakingly assembled himself. They were all gifts Juliana had carefully selected for him over the years. The world of miniatures they had built together, he was now tearing down with his own hands. Even their housekeeper, Maria, was heartbroken. Mr. Cole, what are you doing? These are a testament to your love for Mrs. Croft. A testament to love? The words were a bitter irony. He didn't believe in love anymore. For hours after the post went live, Juliana rushed home, her face flushed and beaded with sweat. When she saw the empty room, her eyes went wide with disbelief. She stared at Ethan, her voice a pleading whisper. What's going on? Why did you give all the models away? So, she'd seen the post. For years, Juliana had scoured collector forums just like that one, often paying exorbitant prices for rare models to surprise him and make him happy. The irony was crushing. He used to be so moved by her gestures. Now he wondered how many of those models were bought to placate him, and how many were secretly passed on to Leo. If even her affection could be split in two, he wanted no part of it. Ethan had his emotions under control. He looked into Juliana's wide, reddening eyes, his voice unervingly calm. I got tired of them. And when you're tired of something, there's no point in keeping it around. Better to give it to someone who will appreciate it. Don't you agree? Juliana froze. A strange unease washed over her. It felt like his words were loaded, carrying a hidden meaning she couldn't quite decipher. But then she dismissed it, thinking he was just feeling down, cooped up at home for too long. She reached out, her hand stroking his cheek. It's my fault. I've been so terribly busy. I haven't been spending enough time with you. That's why you're so down. But I have a surprise for you tonight, I promise. It'll make you feel better, okay? Her gaze was so tender. Before, he would have melted into that tenderness. Not anymore. Now it just felt like an act. What a performance. She'd just spent a day playing happy families at an amusement park, flaunting their affair on Instagram. And now she was putting on this show of devotion for him. Her affection felt cheap. He was tired of the charade. He pushed her hand away. I'm a little tired. I think I'll take a nap. You go do what you need to do. Hearing he was tired, Juliana immediately pushed his wheelchair toward the bedroom, her expression soft. I'll stay with you until you fall asleep. Then I'll get back to work. She helped him into bed, tucking the covers around him with practiced care. Ethan found it laughable. She was playing the role of the perfect wife to the very end. He was done watching. He closed his eyes and turned over. Juliana's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, rejected the call, and sat on the edge of the bed, gently patting his back. A few minutes later, it buzzed again. She rejected it again. After a dozen more minutes of this back and forth, she stared at his seemingly sleeping face, took a deep breath, and slipped out to the study to take the call. Ethan wasn't asleep. He opened his eyes and put on headphones. It was Leo, of course. His voice was whiny, laced with entitlement. Babe, you promised you'd spend the whole day with me and Caleb. And you said you had a surprise for me tonight. I don't care, I want my surprise. Juliana's voice was indulgent. You and Caleb just have fun at the park a little longer. I'll pick you up at 7. I have a huge gift for you tonight. You're gonna love it. Leo was ecstatic. Babe, I knew you loved me most. Caleb, and I will be waiting. After hanging up, Juliana returned to the bedroom. She stood by the bed, gazing at Ethan's face, then leaned down to place a soft kiss on his lips before quietly leaving the room. A moment later, Ethan heard her car start. He knew she was on her way to the amusement park to pick up Leo. He immediately called an Uber and followed her. Soon enough, he saw her at the park entrance, holding her adorable son, walking hand in hand with Leo. The three of them got into Juliana's Maybach. She started the car and headed towards Soho. Ethan told his driver to follow at a discreet distance. The car pulled up in front of a Michelin-starred restaurant. Ethan watched as Leo got out, carrying Caleb, and they quickly went inside. A moment later, Juliana parked the car and followed them in. The valet line was a parade of luxury cars. Ethan's eyes locked onto one of them, a Maserati. He recognized it. It belonged to Juliana's younger brother, Ryan Croft. Seeing that car, Ethan felt a tremor run through his entire body. His breathing hitched. He handed the driver a $1,000 bill. Take me inside. He and Juliana had been to this restaurant before. She had a permanent reservation, a private room, VIP 888. He had the driver wheel him to the door of the suite. The door wasn't fully closed. A small crack remained. Through that gap, Ethan saw the one thing he was not prepared to see. The room was filled with Juliana's family. Her parents, her brother, even her aunts. In that instant, Ethan's heart shattered. So the Crofts all knew. They all knew about Leo and the child. They had watched Juliana cheat on him, watched her raise a secret son, and not a single one of them had said a word. These were people he'd thought of as his own family. Just last month, Juliana's mother had been flying in specialists from Europe, trying to find a doctor who could fix his legs. And Ryan, her brother, came over every weekend. They would talk for hours. It was all a lie. Juliana's mother was happily holding her grandson, her eyes filled with joy. She even gave Leo a gift, a vintage diamond watch worth millions. And Leo, playing the part of the favored son-in-law, took the gift and said, "Thank you, Mom." That one word, Mom, landed in Ethan's ears and made him tremble with a pain so deep it was physical. The Crofts had already accepted Leo. Everyone was lying to him. Everyone was acting. His fingers clenched into a fist, his knuckles white. He heard Ryan say, "Leo, you and my sister are really great together, but this whole thing has to stay under wraps. Don't be so public about it next time. If Ethan finds out, I'm afraid he won't be able to handle it." Juliana's aunt immediately chimed in. "What's the big deal? This kind of thing happens in wealthy families all the time. Our Juliana didn't abandon him when he became disabled. She's taken care of him for years. Is he really going to begrudge her a little something on the side? A woman has needs, after all. Ethan can't satisfy them, but little Leo here certainly can. Besides," she continued, "our Juliana is a CEO. Her company needs an heir someday. What if Ethan passes on his bad genes? What if they have a disabled child? It's better she doesn't have a baby with him. And we've all been keeping it a secret. As long as we don't say anything, Ethan will never know." Ethan felt his heart was about to explode. So that was it. Juliana wasn't worried about dividing her attention. She was worried his genes were defective, that he would produce a disabled child. Tears streamed down his face. Then he heard Juliana's voice, cold and sharp. "Auntie, I don't want you calling Ethan disabled. No matter what, I love him very much. If any of you let this slip to Ethan, don't blame me for turning on you." Leo's expression darkened for a moment. The aunt's voice came again, placating. All right. Today is Leo's birthday. He gave you a son, after all. He's a hero to this family. On such a happy day, let's not talk about Ethan. Come on, everyone, a toast. To Leo's birthday, and to your happy little family. He heard the clinking of glasses, followed by the sound of happy birthday. Ethan felt a chilling numbness spread through him, as if he'd been plunged into an icy lake. The soul-crushing pain left him feeling like a walking corpse. His heart was gone. It was dead. He didn't remember how he left the restaurant. He only remembered the kind Uber driver trying to comfort him. Hey man, life is long. You gotta learn to let some things go. Let it go. How could he? His life felt like a cruel joke. Everything he had believed in had shattered in an instant. There was no going back. When he got home, he locked himself in his room. He sat on the balcony and, one by one, he opened the 1,000 paper cranes Juliana had folded for him, and he burned them. With them, he burned his love for her to ashes. Juliana came home at 10. She immediately came to the balcony and sat with him, wrapping her arms around him. She didn't notice the faint traces of ash. She pointed to the night sky. Babe, look, this is my surprise for you. I hope it cheers you up. As she spoke, the entire complex lit up. Thousands of balloons began to rise into the sky, trailing banners. They all said the same thing. Ethan, I will love you forever. Juliana, the air was thick with manufactured romance, but she was oblivious to the utter despair in his eyes. She held him, her own eyes shining with happiness. Do you like it? 9,999 balloons. I love you. I want our love to last for eternity. Eternity? How could she say those words? Ethan's heart ached violently. At that moment, Juliana's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced down at it. She thought Ethan was watching the balloons, but his eyes were on her screen. He saw the message from Leo. Babe, thank you for my surprise. I loved it. Caleb said the fireworks were beautiful. Love you forever. In the eastern sky, a spectacular fireworks display was lighting up the night. That was the surprise Juliana had prepared for Leo. The next morning, 2 videos were trending online. The first was of the romantic balloon release for Ethan. The comments were full of envy. Juliana Croft is so devoted. Her husband's been paralyzed for years, and she still goes all out with these surprises. I'm so jealous. I hereby nominate Juliana Croft for Wife of the Century. Ethan is the luckiest man alive. If I were him, I'd be crying with gratitude. The second video was of the lavish fireworks display for Leo. No one knew she was behind that one, too. The comments were full of speculation about some rich woman spoiling her boy toy. More envy, this time for the boy toy. Ethan watched both videos calmly at the breakfast table, right in front of Juliana. When Juliana saw the fireworks video, her expression faltered, but she was a master actress. She immediately got up, leaned over, and kissed his cheek. If my baby likes fireworks, I'll plan one for you that's even bigger than that. Ethan put his phone away. I don't need it. He met her amber eyes. Your love is enough for me. Juliana's face lit up. She was so happy, kissing him again and again, completely unaware of the nausea he was fighting back. You're so good to me, baby. Well, I'm off to work. See you tonight. After she left, Ethan went to the hospital. He had an appointment with the doctor to discuss the abortion. Juliana was only a month along. The doctor recommended a medical abortion, gave him the pills, and explained the dosage. In 3 days, he was to bring her back to the hospital to complete the process. Seeing him alone, the doctor asked, Isn't your wife with you? For an abortion, she needs to give her personal consent. Ethan's eyes were cold. She consents. She's the one who doesn't want the child. Because I'm disabled. She's afraid of passing on my condition. The doctor looked at him with pity. Try to hang in there. You're young. Things will get better. Maybe one day they'll find a cure for your genetic condition, and you two can have kids then. Hang in there? How was he supposed to do that? In the waiting room, happy couples sat side by side, dreaming of their future. Ethan stared at the pills in his hand. His child would never have a future. He dragged his weary body to the elevator. As the doors opened, he saw a familiar figure. It was Juliana. His heart lurched. He thought she'd found out he was getting the abortion pills, that she was here to stop him. But in the next second, he saw Leo Vance. Leo's face was glowing with joy. He rushed to Juliana and threw his arms around her. His voice was ecstatic. Babe, I just got my physical results. The doctor said I'm in great shape. My sperm count is excellent, perfect for a second child. If you're ready, I can go abroad and find a surrogate. Juliana's hand fell on Leo's medical report, a huge smile spreading across her face. I knew you were healthy. I'll make the arrangements for you to go abroad in a few weeks. Let's have a daughter this time. A boy and a girl. It'll be perfect. Yes. If we have a daughter, She'll be so beautiful. Leo's lips found Juliana's, and they kissed, lost in their own world. A deathly chill spread through Ethan. He was shaking, a near-fatal sense of dread washing over him. They were already planning a second child, and just last night, Juliana was still acting, still telling him she loved him. The irony was suffocating. Just then, Leo looked over her shoulder, and his eyes met Ethan's. He saw the panic flash in Leo's gaze. Ethan ignored him. He pressed the elevator button and wheeled himself inside. It wasn't weakness that kept him silent. There was simply no point. Once the system recalled him, Juliana's own latent condition would resurface. Her life wouldn't be long either. But Leo panicked. That evening, he started calling Ethan. Ethan didn't answer, so he started texting, one message after another. Ethan, I know you saw us. Yes, it's true. Juliana and I are together. I even went abroad, and we had a son via surrogate. And now I want a daughter. She loves me. I know I shouldn't have betrayed you, but I really love her. Is it wrong to be in love? Ethan, you've been unable to walk for 5 years. Juliana is a normal woman. She has a social life. She has desires, things you can't give her. But I can. She's wild when she's with me, because she can't get that from you. Ethan, hate me, curse me, I don't care. All I care about is Juliana. She's the mother of my child. Our son's name is Caleb, and he's 3 years old. Do you have any idea how many times Juliana has told me she loves me over the last 4 years? Even on your wedding anniversary, she would sneak away to be with me. And when you were asleep, she even brought me to your underground garage. Can you do that? Give up, Ethan. Divorce her. Every word was a knife, twisting in Ethan's heart. He turned off his phone. Juliana, meanwhile, was completely oblivious. She came to him, wrapped her arms around him from behind, and whispered lovingly, Babe, I've cleared my schedule. This weekend, we're going to see the sunrise. But she didn't know. For them, the sun would never rise again. Ethan gave Juliana the abortion pills. Yes, he told her, his voice devoid of emotion. We shouldn't have a child. Get rid of it. That way, we'll have more time together. And Juliana, wanting to appease him, took the pills. On the third morning, her abdomen cramped violently. He calmly drove her to the hospital where, under a doctor's supervision, she took the final dose. He watched as his child was flushed from her body. He knew, in that sterile, clinical room, that it was over. His child was gone. The last trace of him in this world had been erased. The doctor asked if he wanted to see the embryonic tissue. It was hospital policy. And Ethan, who had held himself together for days, finally broke. The moment he saw it, a raw, guttural sob escaped him. Leo had been texting him nonstop for days. At first, his messages had a hint of guilt, but slowly, they had morphed into taunts, into insults. As Ethan was helping a pale Juliana out of the hospital, his phone buzzed. It was a picture from Leo, his own clean bill of health, and the signed confirmation for a surrogacy appointment abroad. Juliana's signature was clearly visible at the bottom. Ethan stared at the photo, his heart already so numb with pain that he felt nothing. He didn't reply. What was the point? Tomorrow, the system would recall him. Nothing here mattered anymore. He didn't want Juliana, and he certainly didn't want a brother like Leo. At the same time, Leo sent a message to Juliana. He said their son was crying for his mommy, that she needed to come over immediately. Juliana, despite having just had an abortion, lied to Ethan. Something urgent came up at the office. I might have to work late tonight. Ethan looked into her dark eyes. He saw no guilt, no remorse. He didn't try to stop her. He just smiled a little. Go on, Juliana. Be careful on the road. Her name on his lips made her heart clench. For some reason, she felt a pang of sadness. But Leo's texts were relentless. She leaned down, kissed Ethan's lips, and whispered, I'll love you forever. And she was gone. Ethan watched from the window as her car started, pulled away, and finally disappeared from view. He knew it was the last time he would ever see her in this world. When the sun rose tomorrow, she would never be able to find him again. Back in the penthouse, he began to erase all traces of their life together. 12 hours until his departure. 10 hours left. Someone on Pet Finder responded to his ad. He gave away the cat Juliana had given him. He changed its name. It was no longer Ash. Its new name was Phoenix. 8 hours left. He burned every gift Juliana had ever given him, every photograph of them together. Then he took off his wedding ring and threw it into the deep end of their indoor swimming pool. Juliana loved to swim, didn't she? He wondered what her expression would be when she found it. 6 hours left. He cooked one last meal for her. He didn't know if she would ever eat it, but it didn't matter. He had once stayed in this world for her, defying everything. This time, he was leaving her with the same fierce determination. 4 hours left. Ethan compiled all of Leo's taunting messages, along with all the evidence of his affair and secret child. He sent it all to reporters at TMZ and Page 6. He was no saint. He couldn't forgive. A betrayal like this deserved retribution. 2 hours left. Ethan showered and changed into a clean white shirt. He remembered the first time he met Juliana. He had been wearing a white shirt then, too. She had smiled at him, a smile so pure and beautiful, and told him he looked like an angel. On the day she proposed, he had also worn a white shirt. She had knelt on one knee, her eyes red, and said, "Ethan, marry me. I will love you for the rest of my life. But a lifetime is too long, and promises are too fragile." All that beauty had scattered in the wind, never to be found again. Finally, he called a car and went to the beach to watch the sunrise. As the first rays of dawn touched his hair, he smiled peacefully. The system's voice returned. "Host, you have 1 minute remaining. Are you ready?" Ethan smiled into the light and pressed send on his phone one last time. It was his final message to Juliana. A picture of her ultrasound and a photo of the blood-stained abortion consent form. He wrote only one sentence. "Thank you for the child you almost gave me." After it's sent, he threw the phone as far as he could into the ocean. He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun, the gentle caress of the waves, and a faint smile touched his lips. "I'm ready, system. Execute your final command." 5, 4, 3, 2. Juliana's smiling face flashed in his mind, growing fainter and more blurry, until it faded into an empty white void. Juliana Croft would never find Ethan Cole again. Not in this lifetime, not in any other. This was forever. Meanwhile, Juliana was lying in Leo's king-sized bed, his arms wrapped around her. They were kissing passionately, Leo breathing heavily, a satisfied look on his face. Remembering she hadn't come home last night, Juliana felt a pang of guilt. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, intending to call Ethan. Just then, a notification popped up, a message from Ethan. She opened it immediately. One glance was all it took. Her body went rigid, the color draining from her face. The phone slipped from her trembling hand and fell onto the bed. Seeing her expression change, Leo propped himself up, his voice full of concern. "Babe, what is it? You look terrible. Is something wrong at work?" Juliana shoved him away with a violent surge of strength. Leo nearly fell off the bed. He looked at her bewildered. "Babe, what's wrong? Was I not gentle enough? You just had the procedure yesterday. You shouldn't be exerting yourself." The word procedure snapped her out of her shock. She snatched the phone from the bed and frantically scrolled through it, as if she'd misread. But it was there, the blood-stained consent form, lying quietly on the screen. She zoomed in on the image. The words were clear. Juliana Croft, female, 27 years old, 42 days pregnant. Juliana Croft, female, early-term pregnancy. Patient wishes to terminate due to husband's disability and fear of passing on genetic defects. The timestamp was 10 o'clock yesterday morning. At 10 o'clock yesterday, she was at the hospital with Leo for his physical. She had no idea Ethan had been there at the same time, signing that form. And his message, "Thank you for the child you almost gave me." The words sent a tremor of fear through her. A terrible premonition took hold. Did Ethan want to keep the baby? Her hand shaking, Juliana dialed Ethan's number. Over and over, she was met with the same automated voice. "The person you're calling has their phone turned off. Please try again later." The more she couldn't get through, the more frantically she dialed, like a woman possessed. Leo had no idea what was happening. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, his voice low and soothing as always. "Babe, what's going on? Why are you ignoring me?" His words were met with a guttural scream. "Get off me." Leo froze, stunned. He had never seen her like this. He quickly pulled his hands back, staring at her, his eyes wide with hurt. "Babe, what did I do? Why are you yelling at me?" Juliana's mind was a chaotic mess. She scrambled to put on her clothes, trying to make sense of it all, but the more she tried, the more her thoughts tangled. All she wanted was to go home, to see Ethan. She threw on her clothes, her hands trembling. Leo, unwilling to let her go, got up and hugged her again. "Juliana, what's wrong? Last night was so perfect." Juliana's lips trembled. "Ethan, he sent me a message. Do you understand? He might have wanted me to keep the baby, and I was so insistent on getting rid of it. I have to go see him right now." She started muttering to herself. "He loves me so much. He wouldn't be mad at me over this, would he? He's just messing with me. Yes, that's it. Even if I didn't want the child, he'd still love me." Juliana burst out of Leo's house, not even bothering to grab a coat, and rushed home. The moment she was through the door, she yelled, "I'm home. You're not mad about the abortion, are you? You didn't want a child to come between us either, right?" but the vast, empty penthouse offered no reply. She ran upstairs and threw open the door to Ethan's bedroom. It was empty. She scanned the room and suddenly realized things were missing. Her face went pale. She scrambled to the closet and flung the doors open. His clothes were still there. For a moment, she felt a wave of relief. She buried her face in his shirts, gasping for air. I knew it. Ethan, you love me too much to leave me. You didn't go. You wouldn't. But then her eyes fell on a small box on the closet shelf. The box where Ethan kept all their photos together. It was open. She grabbed it. It was completely empty. The photos. Where were the photos? Ethan cherished those pictures. He would often take them out and look at them one by one, writing the date and location on the back of each, along with a simple phrase, Ethan loves Juliana, forever. Now they were gone. She completely lost it, screaming into the empty room. Ethan, come out. Please stop playing games with me. Ethan didn't appear. Instead, the housekeeper, Maria, came upstairs, drawn by the noise. Juliana saw her and lunged, grabbing Maria's arm with a desperate grip. Where is he? Where did Mr. Cole go? Maria shook her head, bewildered. He didn't tell me. He was sitting on the balcony by himself for a long time last night. He told me to go home, so I did. When I came in this morning, he was already gone. What? A chill washed over Juliana. Why weren't you watching him? I told you he can't be left alone. Maria was flustered. But I didn't know you weren't going to be home last night, ma'am. Juliana froze. Maria was right. She hadn't been home. She had spent the night with another man. Well, why did she have to question the housekeeper? She thought back to yesterday morning at the hospital. She had been the one insisting she didn't want the child. Now that she replayed it, Ethan had been silent. She had done all the talking, and she had been so wrapped up in her own world she hadn't even noticed how withdrawn he was. She was a fool, a monster. If Ethan had wanted the child, and she had spent days pushing for the abortion, how heartbroken must he have been? How much must he have needed someone by his side? And where was she? She was with Leo, comforting him because his son supposedly wasn't feeling well. She had lied to Ethan, abandoned him, left him to suffer alone. She deserved to be damned. Overcome with regret, Juliana stumbled backward. She clutched the empty photo box, her legs giving out from under her. The photos in that box, Maria said softly, Mr. Cole burned them yesterday. I saw him burning a lot of things. Juliana's head snapped up. And you didn't stop him? Maria looked hurt. He's the man of the house. How could I stop him? Then why didn't you tell me? You've been so busy lately, ma'am. You're rarely home. How are we supposed to tell you? Besides, Mr. Cole said that what he does is his own business and not to be discussed with anyone, including you. Maria's words were a gut punch. Juliana staggered back several steps, her face as white as a sheet, as if she'd been struck by lightning. It was true. Lately, every spare moment she had, she'd run to Leo, spin at his side. The time she spent in her own home had dwindled. If even the housekeeper noticed, how could Ethan not have? Maria frowned. He didn't just burn things, ma'am. He gave things away. Haven't you noticed? Her words jolted Juliana. She began to search frantically, pulling open drawers, rummaging through cabinets, going from upstairs to downstairs. She realized with dawning horror that every single thing she had ever given Ethan was gone. Even the jar of 1,000 paper cranes she had folded for him herself had vanished. Her eyes landed on the cat bed in the living room. She ran to it, her voice a raw, desperate cry. Ash, Ash, come out. I have your favorite treats. But the cat bed was empty. There was no sign of Ash. Maria sighed. Ma'am, there's no point in calling. Mr. Cole already gave Ash away. What? He gave him away? Juliana's legs buckled, and she collapsed onto the sofa behind her. Ethan had even given away Ash. Ash, a name she had chosen because it was part of his, Ethan's, name. When she'd given him the cat, she had promised to love him for a lifetime, and Ash was to be the living proof of their love. Ethan had adored that cat. One time, Ash had snuck out, and Ethan had rushed out into a torrential downpour to find him. His legs weren't strong. He had fallen in the street, still calling the cat's name. She'd ended up spending $100,000 to hire a professional pet finder team to bring Ash home. She remembered Ethan holding the cat so tightly, refusing to let go, saying Ash was like his child and he could never lose him. And now, he had given Ash away. The blow was too much. Juliana felt a crushing weight on her chest, suffocating her. All she wanted was to find Ethan. She would get on her knees, she would beg, she would repent for the rest of her life, as long as he was okay. Her eyes, red and wild, fixed on Maria. Did he say anything to you these past few days? Anything at all? Maria shook her head, then paused. He didn't talk to us, but I heard him talking to Ash. What did he say? Juliana stared, desperate for any clue. Maria thought for a moment. He told Ash, Daddy's got a very, very far away place. You have to be a good boy from now on. A very, very far away place? Juliana's eyes suddenly lit up with a desperate hope. She thought she knew where he would go. She snatched her phone and called the manager of the private lakeside estate she'd bought for him. Ethan loved watching the sunrise there. She had promised to take him to the estate today. Today was their 8th wedding anniversary. She was certain he had gone to the estate. Hello, Susan. Is Mr. Cole there? Did he arrive at the estate? Ma'am? No, he hasn't been here in a long time. Juliana's face went white. Are you sure? Maybe he's on his way. If he arrives, call me immediately. Of course, Mrs. Croft. Hanging up, Juliana sank back on the sofa. Her mind raced, trying to think of anywhere else he could be. Ethan was an orphan. He had no parents to go home to. She had known him since they were 14. They'd fallen in love at first sight. Back then, she'd had severe claustrophobia and suffered from that strange, chilling illness that made her feel like a corpse to the touch. Her parents had consulted countless top doctors, but no one could cure her. She had even started coughing up blood. People avoided her, afraid she was contagious. Only Ethan didn't. He had taken her hand, smiled, and said, You're not going to die. You're too beautiful and kind. You're going to get better. And day by day she had. She came to see him as the light of her life. She couldn't live without him. She truly loved him, a soul-deep, consuming love. He was her life. Now that he was gone, her life was ending. She tried to think. He had no family. His only close friend was Leo. Leo. She immediately dialed his number. He answered. Hello, babe, Leo. Listen to me. Juliana cut in, her voice strained. This is extremely important. If you know anything, you have to tell me. Her eyes were bloodshot as she asked, her words precise and heavy. Think carefully. Has Ethan contacted you privately these past few days? Did he say anything to you? Leo, knowing full well he'd sent those taunting messages, felt a surge of guilt. He denied it instantly. No. Other than that day, he said he wanted to invite me over. We haven't spoken. His words reminded her. That day, Ethan had given her a gift box for Leo, telling her to give it to him in 7 days. Today was the 7th day. She had tossed the box in her study. She bolted upstairs, ran into the study, and started frantically searching. Finally, on a bookshelf, she found the exquisitely wrapped Hermes box. Looking at it, her heart began to pound with a sickening dread. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside, there wasn't a pair of shoes. It was a jumble of miscellaneous items, a photo frame, a razor, a lighter, even a cheap little flashlight. And on top of it all lay an envelope. On it was a single line of writing, for Leo. What's gone is gone. Farewell forever. The words farewell forever made her heart seize. She ripped open the envelope. A few photos fell out. They were pictures of her at the amusement park with Leo and Caleb. He knew. He had known all along that she was cheating on him. Juliana's eyes filled with tears. There was also a letter inside. She unfolded it. Ethan's handwriting was dry. Leo, you win. Life is fleeting. I used to think all promises were eternal. When we first met, you said we'd be best friends forever. I thought forever meant something. But you weren't good enough at hiding it. You let me see. Your son is cute. It's a shame he has a father like you. I don't know how you and Juliana got together, and frankly, I don't want to know. I don't want her anymore. Since you want her, take her. Everything you've given me over the years is in this box. I cherished even that cheap lighter. I was blind. I deserve this. For the rest of your life, I wish you nothing but misery. People who betray trust don't deserve happiness. So he had known everything. No wonder he'd agreed to the abortion. Tears streamed down Juliana's face. She clutched the letter, her gaze falling on the contents of the box. In the corner lay a simple, cheap lighter, a birthday gift from Leo to Ethan. Every year, Ethan gave Leo the best, most expensive gifts. Leo's gifts in return were always cheap trinkets. But Ethan never cared. He would smile, collect them, and treat them like treasure. It was true. Those who betray trust don't deserve happiness. Neither she nor Leo deserved it. She couldn't imagine what Ethan had gone through these past days, knowing the truth. He hadn't even confronted her. He had just suffered, alone, day after day. Juliana raised her hand and slapped herself hard. She stared at the letter again and again. He doesn't want her anymore. No, it couldn't be. They loved each other so much. They had promised to grow old together. How could he not want her? She refused to give up. She had to find him, no matter what. She would kneel before him. She would spend the rest of her life atoning for her sins. She would do anything, as long as he stayed by her side. She called her brother, Ryan. Ryan and Ethan had always been close. The moment the call connected, she heard Ryan's strained, urgent voice. Jules, I just got a text this morning. I just woke up and saw it. It's from Ethan. What did he send? Juliana clutched the phone like a lifeline. Ethan's gone. Tell me, what did he send? He sent me a photo, Ryan said. It's from a few days ago. From Leo's birthday dinner. What did you say? Juliana felt like she'd been struck by lightning. Her body gave out, and she had to brace herself with an elbow on the desk to keep from falling. Ethan had seen them. He had seen their entire family celebrating Leo's birthday. Oh God, what have I done? She couldn't begin to imagine the devastation that scene must have caused him. And the worst part, the most laughable part, was that she hadn't noticed a thing that night. She had even put on a romantic balloon show for him. She had shamelessly asked him if he liked it, thinking he would be moved to tears. What had she done? She deserved to die. On the other end of the line, Ryan was consumed with guilt. Ethan had married his sister and had treated their whole family with kindness. He had been especially good to him, his brother-in-law, always looking out for him. And he, Ryan, had helped Juliana deceive him. He had known for 5 years that she was cheating with Leo, that they even had a son via a surrogate, and he had never said a word. Jules, I feel like such a piece of shit. Ethan was so good to me. Every time I had my heart broken, he was there for me. Every time I was down, he found a way to cheer me up. I'm an asshole. How could I hide your affair from him? And Leo is just some guy on the side. I can't believe I helped celebrate his birthday. I'm not human. I never should have gone to that dinner. What are we going to do now? How am I ever going to face Ethan again? It wasn't a matter of facing him. It was a matter of finding him. Juliana's heart was in pieces. She was drowning in regret. She should have never taken pity on Leo. As she was thinking, the doorbell rang. She thought it was Ethan. She scrambled downstairs, a mad hope surging through her. You're finally back. But it wasn't Ethan. It was her executive assistant, Linda. Linda handed her a FedEx envelope. Ms. Croft, a delivery for you. It looks like it was sent from your home address to the office. I thought it might be urgent, so I brought it over. From her home address. The thought immediately connected to Ethan. She snatched the envelope and ripped it open. A set of divorce papers fell out. Ethan's signature was already on the signature line, and he was asking for nothing. He was walking away, completely clean. The shock sent Juliana stumbling backward. Linda lunged forward to steady her, her own eyes wide with disbelief as she stared at the papers. Mr. Cole want a divorce. Every man in the city envied Ethan Cole. He had the perfect wife in Juliana Croft. He hadn't been able to walk for 5 years, but she had never shown an ounce of disdain. In fact, she had become even more protective of him. As her assistant, Linda saw it every day. Juliana left work on the dot. She reported in whenever she traveled. She insisted on bringing Ethan to every single gala. If he felt even slightly unwell, she would rush home. She had even hired a private medical team just to care for his legs. What man on earth was as lucky as Ethan Cole? Linda couldn't understand why, after all that, he would suddenly want a divorce. Linda didn't understand, but Juliana did. She was the one who had betrayed his trust. Everyone called her the perfect wife, but no one knew that Ethan was the perfect husband. For years, he had unconditionally tolerated all her moods. Every meal at home was meticulously planned by him. He never trusted the maids with her clothes. He washed and ironed every piece himself. Every morning, he would have an outfit perfectly laid out for her. What had she done to deserve a husband like that? And still, she hadn't cherished him. She'd had an affair, had a child with another man. She was the one who deserved to die. She refused to believe he would divorce her. She wouldn't believe it. They had been together for so long. Could he really just cut her out of his life? Could he really not want her anymore? Her eyes blazing, she stared at the divorce papers and then tore them into tiny pieces. I'm not getting a divorce. We are never getting a divorce. As long as she didn't sign, the divorce couldn't be finalized. If she could just find him, get on her knees, and explain everything, she believed he would forgive her. Nothing in this world could separate them, except death. But she didn't know that Ethan had already been recalled by the system. His body, by now, was sinking into the cold embrace of the sea. Death, in the end, would be what separated them. Linda, still unaware of the full situation, frowned. Mr. Cole is being incredibly selfish. After how good you've been to him, how dare he ask for a divorce? Shut up. Don't you dare talk about my Ethan like that. Juliana's voice was a raw, animalistic snarl. Linda flinched, her face paling. She immediately fell silent. She had never seen Juliana like this. It was clear that Ethan's place in her heart was absolute, and no one was allowed to tarnish his name. He'll come back, Juliana said, as if trying to convince herself, her eyes filled with a stubborn refusal to accept reality. He loves me too much. How could he not come back? He's just playing a game. He'll be back. Frightened she was losing her mind, Linda quickly suggested, maybe we should send people to look for him. Find him, Juliana ordered immediately. Use every resource Croft Industries has. Turn this city upside down if you have to, but find him. And Ash, I don't care what it costs by the cat back. When he comes home, he'll want to hold Ash. And rebuild the model room. I want every rare, out-of-production model in the world. But no blue cars. Not a single blue car model. Ethan hated blue car models now. She would never touch a blue model again for the rest of her life. Linda nodded. Yes, ma'am. I'll get on it right away. After Linda left, Juliana drove to Mount Sinai. She had to know, did Ethan really not want their child? Was he against her having the abortion? In the doctor's office, Juliana's voice was barely a whisper. What did you say? Say that again. The doctor looked at her without sympathy. The day your husband came to get the pills, he stated clearly that he was disabled and that you were afraid of having a disabled child. That's why you didn't want the baby. He asked me to prescribe the medication. As doctors, we can't interfere in that kind of decision. The hospital made an exception and allowed him to sign the consent form on your behalf. Here, the doctor said, handing her the original document. This is it. Juliana stared at the consent form, her heart shattering into a million pieces. She looked at the date. It was the same day Leo had gone for his physical. At this very hospital, her mind went blank. She couldn't dare to imagine it. Had Ethan seen her with Leo that day? Had he seen them embracing, kissing? If he had, how utterly broken must he have been? Oh God, Juliana felt she was less than human. What had she done? She was worse than an animal. However, the doctor continued, your husband left something in our hospital's cryogenic storage. He said someone would come looking for him eventually, and that I should give this locker number to you. The doctor confirmed, your last name is Croft, correct? He was very specific. It had to be given to a woman named Croft. Hearing that Ethan had left something for her, a spark of hope ignited in her chest. Maybe it was a clue, a way for her to find him. Her eyes were wide with a desperate urgency. Yes, my name is Croft. She fumbled for her ID and showed it to the doctor. The doctor glanced at it, then pulled a small tag with a number on it from a drawer. Go to the next building over, basement level. Ask for the attendant. Juliana went to the basement level and found the attendant. The way the attendant looked at her was strange, a mix of pity and discomfort. When the attendant opened the cryogenic storage locker, Juliana finally understood what it felt like to be in hell. She saw a small vial. It was her child. The attendant handed her a letter. The person who stored this said to give this to whoever opened the locker. Juliana could no longer stand. Her mind was a complete blank. She didn't remember opening the letter. A single sheet of paper. Only a few words. Juliana, you didn't love this child, so will never be born. You don't deserve to be a mother. And I can't be a father. We are both sinners. The words plunged her into an abyss from which she knew she would never climb out. Her elegant, manicured fingers didn't dare touch the tiny vial. That was her child with Ethan. Her own flesh and blood. Juliana's eyes were crimson. She let out a guttural scream. Why? Ethan, why? Nothing in the world could break her, but now she was broken by a tiny vial. She didn't even have the courage to look at it for more than a second. Ethan, how could you be so cruel? Are you punishing me? Are you reminding me that I deserve to burn in hell for the rest of my life? Crushed, Juliana crumpled to the floor. The tears finally came, hot and endless. She clutched the piece of paper, the cold from it seeping in her fingertips into her very soul. She wanted to scream at him, to ask him why he was so heartless, but she couldn't even find him. How could she ask? The attendant's voice cut through her grief. Ma'am, are you going to take this with you? She looked up, lost and helpless like a child. Tell me, why would he be so cruel? If he had just asked me, if he had said he wanted this child, I would have kept it. I would have had our baby. Tell me, she pleaded, does he hate me that much? The attendant just shrugged, her voice cold and clinical. Ma'am, you can't stay here. Are you taking this, or are you leaving it? Juliana didn't remember how she walked out of the hospital. She was clutching the small vial. Outside, a heavy rain had begun to fall. She staggered through the downpour, muttering to herself over and over. Ethan, why don't you want me? Why are you punishing me like this? Ethan, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please come back. But the only answer was the cold, relentless rain. At that moment, Leo Vance was staring at his phone in horror. Every news app, every social media feed, was plastered with headlines about his affair with Juliana. He stared at the photos of them together, his hands shaking. He frantically scrolled through the comments. WTF, this Leo Vance guy is disgusting. A homewrecker, and a male one at that. The entire city knows Juliana Croft is Ethan's wife, and he still went after her. TSK, you guys don't know the half of it. This guy was Ethan's best friend. Last year for his birthday, Ethan came to our store and ordered him a custom pair of limited edition Hermes shoes. He had a brother that good to him, and he stabs him in the back, steals his wife, and has the audacity to have a kid with her via surrogate. This world is insane. Male mistresses are this brazen now. I have inside info, people. A few days ago, on his birthday, Leo posted on IG about his wife renting out an amusement park and showed off a huge diamond ring. And the fireworks show he bragged about, the one that went viral? Yeah, that was Juliana's doing. Poor Ethan, betrayed by the two people he loved most. God, this Leo guy is scum. Having a friend like that is the worst luck imaginable. And his kid, born via surrogate. How does a kid like that even deserve to exist? I know it's harsh, but I hope he and his son end up in a crematorium together. Please, that trash doesn't deserve to breathe. Someone find this asshole's address. Let's go pay him a visit. In no time, Leo's home address and even the address of his son's preschool were leaked online. Then came the second wave. Someone leaked screenshots of the vicious, taunting texts he had sent to Ethan. The internet exploded. A vigilante army of justice warriors formed online, vowing to go to his villa and beat him to a pulp. Leo's face was ashen with terror. He tried calling Juliana, but she wouldn't pick up. Desperate, he tried calling Ethan, hoping he could get him to quell the online fury. But Ethan's phone was still off. Filled with hatred, he sent Ethan a barrage of texts. Ethan, I know you hate me. I know you did this. You leaked those photos, didn't you? Stop playing dead. You want me dead? Come and kill me yourself. You're pathetic, Ethan. You think Juliana loves you? Let me tell you, she stopped loving you a long time ago. The first night we slept together, she called me her husband. She said I was amazing in bed, that my genes were better. That's why we had a son together. My son looks just like me, and she adores him. The moment he was born, she set up a $100 million trust fund for him and bought him a villa in France. Answer me, Ethan. You think if you play dead, I can't fucking find you? I'm telling you, if you drive me and my son to our deaths, I'll drag you down to hell with me. Ethan, the one who isn't loved is the third wheel. You haven't been loved in years. You're the third wheel here. Leo typed furiously, each message more vile than the last. But there was no reply. The silence only fueled his madness. He didn't know that Ethan had already been recalled by the system. The world no longer contained an Ethan Cole, only a body left by the sea. Meanwhile, Juliana, utterly broken, carried the small, blood-stained vial and stumbled back to her family's mansion. By now, the Crofts had seen the news. The entire family was in chaos. The internet was a firestorm of condemnation for Leo and Juliana, and by extension, the entire Croft family. The story had leaked that they all knew about the affair and had even helped celebrate the homewrecker's birthday. Croft Industries stock was in freefall. Business partners were starting to pull their investments. When Ryan saw Juliana return, he grabbed her arm. Jules, have you seen the news? Your thing with Leo has been exposed. The whole family is caught up in this scandal. I told you not to play with fire, but you wouldn't listen. Leo is not a good man. Look at this. Ryan shoved his phone in her face. This psycho sent all these abusive messages to Ethan. He even told Ethan about his plans to have a second kid with a surrogate. What did you say? Juliana's eyes flashed with a cold fire. She snatched the phone from Ryan, her grip like a vice, and frantically scrolled through the news articles. She saw the screenshots of Leo's messages to Ethan. She saw a photo of her with Leo at his hospital checkup. She even saw the consent form for a second surrogacy, bearing her signature. The messages were sent at the exact same time Ethan had agreed to her abortion. Juliana stared at the images, and something inside her snapped. She finally understood. Leo had been provoking Ethan all along, using the cruelest words imaginable. How could Ethan have endured it? No wonder he wanted a divorce. No wonder he wouldn't answer his phone. A murderous rage filled her eyes. Her mother, wringing her hands, was frantic. Juliana, what are we going to do? This news is everywhere. The company's stock is plummeting. I'm afraid we're going to go bankrupt. She frowned, her voice sharp with resentment. And Ethan, really? After all these years, you've been so good to him. He's a cripple, and our family never looked down on him. So you had a man on the side for a little fun, and he does this? He goes to the press? That man is vicious. We're better off without him. What did you say? Juliana's voice was low and dangerous, her eyes glowing with a red fury. Her mother, startled by her daughter's ferocity, took a step back. Why are you looking at me like that? Am I wrong? Plenty of rich women have boy toys. He's a cripple. He can't even satisfy you in bed. What's the big deal if you have some fun? Shut your mouth. Juliana screamed, grabbing a porcelain teacup from the table and smashing it on the floor. You hear me? You don't get to talk about him. You don't have the right to even say his name. The porcelain shattered, and her mother shrieked, covering her head. Juliana, are you insane? I'm just trying to help you. Help me. Juliana threw her head back and laughed, a horrifying, bestial sound. She stared at her mother, her eyes burning. Why do you think I was with Leo in the first place? It was that night at the department party. I drank too much. Ethan wasn't feeling well, so I told him to go back to the hotel room to rest. And Leo, his best friend, was in the room next door. I went to the wrong room. I thought he was Ethan, and we slept together. Afterward, I tried to pay him off to make it go away, but he got me drunk again, had someone take my eggs, and created a son for me. I didn't want him to go through with the surrogacy, but he went to you, and you were the one who told him to keep the baby. You told me Ethan was a cripple, that his genes were bad, that we couldn't have children, but Leo was strong and healthy, so a child with his genes would be fine, a perfect heir to the Croft fortune. I said no. You made Leo get on his knees and beg me. When I still refused, you told him to harass me until I gave in. Then Leo threatened me. He said if I didn't let him have the child, he'd kill himself and the baby. Juliana gritted her teeth, her glare fixed on her mother. It was your indulgence that led me down this path, that made me sink into this sordid affair with a man like Leo. And for what? It's pathetic. I never loved Leo. I was just playing with him. But in the end, I played with fire, and I lost the most important person in my life. I lost Ethan. She sagged against the cold wall, completely defeated. Her mother was furious. Juliana, have you no pride? How could I have raised such a daughter? Falling apart over a man. He's a cripple, for God's sake. He's not going to leave you. Where'd he go? This is just him playing the victim to get your attention. Call him right now. Tell him to get his ass out here and clean up this mess. We may have wronged him, but this family has supported him for years. Even a dog knows to be grateful. Ha ha, call him. The pain was so intense Juliana could only laugh, a bitter, mocking sound. You think this is him playing the victim? I wish to God it was. What do you mean? Her mother asked, her eyes narrowing. Juliana held out the abortion consent form and the small vial. See for yourself. He had the embryo preserved. He clearly wanted me to suffer for the rest of my life. How could that be an act? How could this happen? Her mother's heart sank, but she quickly recovered. That Ethan, he's gone too far. He's the one who's disabled. It's normal for you not to want his child. And he uses such an extreme method to threaten you. I was wrong about him. Mom, Juliana cried out in anguish. Do you have a conscience? Do you still not understand why Ethan did this? We push him to it. His heart is broken. He wants a divorce. He wants to leave me. He doesn't want anything to do with me anymore. Don't you get it? Ryan stared at the small vial, his body trembling. He sucked in a breath, his face pale. It looks like he really is divorcing you, Jules. We did this to him. Mom, it's all your fault. When Leo wanted to go abroad for the surrogacy, you shouldn't have encouraged it. Think about it. What kind of person is Leo? Ethan was his best friend. He would even sleep with his best friend's wife. What kind of person does that? Leo. A fire ignited in Juliana's eyes. She clenched her fists, her voice a low growl. I told him. I said I would support him and the child for the rest of their lives. But he was never to bother Ethan. He promised me, but he still went and provoked him. He's the reason Ethan is gone. Juliana was consumed by regret. Regret for ever being soft on Leo. She should have stopped him from bringing the child back to the country. If she had just focused all her attention on Ethan, he never would have left. A terrifying thought crossed her mind. What if Leo wanted to take Ethan's place, had hired someone to kidnap him? What if he had orchestrated this whole thing? She stood frozen, her mind a blank, chilling coldness spreading through her fingers, seeping into her heart and turning to ice. Kidnapping or not, she had to find Ethan. She had to spend the rest of her life making it up to him. Juliana stood up, grabbed her keys, and drove like a madwoman to Leo's villa. She had to ask him, did he kidnap Ethan? By the time she arrived, Leo was already experiencing true despair. A group of people, the self-proclaimed Homewrecker Justice League, had pretended to be delivery drivers. When he let his guard down and opened the door, they had stormed his house. When a moment they were inside, someone grabbed him by the hair and slapped him hard across the face. This is him, the male homewrecker, the dog who betrayed his own brother. Everyone, come and see. Someone started a live stream, beating a male mistress live. Another person pinched Leo's cheeks, forcing his face toward the camera. Everyone get a good look. This is Leo Vance, the scumbag who broke up Ethan and Juliana's marriage. Look at this face. I wonder if he got plastic surgery to seduce Miss Croft. Here, let me check for you. Is this nose real? Someone started twisting his nose. Leo thrashed, screaming, "You're trespassing. I'll sue you." "Sue us," a man laughed. "You, a homewrecker, are going to sue us? You interfered in someone else's marriage first. And not just anyone's marriage, your best friend's. Leo, how do you live with yourself?" "Why shouldn't I?" Leo yelled back, his voice raw. "Ethan's a cripple. He hasn't been able to move his legs for 5 years. If you were a woman, would you still be interested in him? Juliana loves me. She stopped loving Ethan a long time ago. He's the one who refused to leave, who wouldn't get out of the way." Slap. Slap. "You piece of trash." Someone hit him again. The live stream chat was on fire. What a psycho. Have we reached the point where male mistresses are this arrogant? Right? He's so proud of being a homewrecker. People like him are ruining society. We can't let this slide. If guys like him get away with it, who would ever get married? Who would dare be a husband? Marriage licenses would be a joke. I support you guys. Beat him hard. The law can't touch a crowd. You should ruin his face so he can't go around seducing other people's wives. People like him have no shame. Hit him. Hit him harder. The chat was a torrent of rage. The people in the room, fueled by the online mob, grew even angrier. Someone else slapped Leo several more times, making him cry out in pain. "Don't hit my daddy. Stop hitting my daddy." Suddenly, Leo's son, Caleb, threw himself on top of his father. The little boy shielded Leo with his small body, sobbing hysterically. "Stop hitting my daddy. When my mommy gets here, she'll beat all of you up." The live stream chat erupted again. "Look, the homewrecker's bastard child, born from a surrogate. And he's defending his scumbag father. Disgusting. You know, it's bastards like him that get inheritance rights. It's ridiculous. That's why these homewreckers are so rampant. Their kids still get the money. I know the kid is innocent, but his father isn't. What a tragedy." The chat was a cacophony of insults. Someone in the room grabbed little Caleb's arm. "Get out of the way, you little bastard. Do you know your father is a homewrecker? Do you know he ruined a family?" Caleb screamed back. "My daddy said he's not a homewrecker. My daddy said Uncle Ethan is the homewrecker because my mommy doesn't love Uncle Ethan. Daddy said the one who isn't loved is the third wheel." The chat exploded. "See, you feel sorry for him because he's a kid, but he's already learned his father's manipulative tactics. He actually believes his father isn't the bad guy. His father has completely warped his values. Not worthy of sympathy at all. Poor Ethan. Juliana built this whole persona as a loving wife, and now it's all come crashing down. Women, you just can't trust them. You're a bastard. Your father is a homewrecker," someone yelled. Caleb bit down hard on the person's arm. "I'm not a bastard. My daddy is not a homewrecker. Uncle Ethan is." "Wah, you little brat." The person shoved Caleb to the ground. He fell and began to wail. Leo panicked. He crawled over and shielded Caleb with his own body. He was truly scared now. He looked up at the crowd, his face pale. "Please let us go. My son Anna. I was wrong. I know I was wrong." He said he was sorry, but in his heart, he didn't believe he had done anything wrong. He just wanted to get them to leave. "I know I hurt Ethan. I promise I'll never bother him again. Please have mercy. Let me and my son go. He's just a child. He's a child. You're not. Beat him. We can't let a scumbag like this get away with it." The crowd's anger was not easily appeased. They swarmed him, kicking and punching, their insults 1,000 times more vicious than the ones he had hurled at Ethan. Someone kicked him hard in the stomach, then again in the groin. A searing pain shot through him. He felt a hot wetness spread down his inner thigh. He screamed in terror. "Stop. Please stop hitting me. Help me. I think I'm dying." Someone noticed the blood. "Stop. He's bleeding. If we keep going, we might kill him. A scumbag like him deserves to die." Just then, a figure burst through the door. It was Juliana. Her eyes were blazing red. "Leo Vance, get out here." The crowd saw her, and though they hated her, she was still the CEO of Croft Industries. They weren't about to cross her. They parted, creating a path for her. Leo heard her voice, and a flicker of hope ignited in his desperate eyes. He lay on the floor, pathetic and broken. "Juliana, babe, I'm here. They're beating me. Help me. I think they broke that part of me. I'm bleeding. Please save me." "Ah, Juliana, what are you doing?" A strangled cry escaped Leo's lips. Juliana's hand was suddenly wrapped around his throat, her grip so tight her knuckles were white. Her eyes were red, predatory, as if she were about to devour him whole. "I told you," she hissed, "to never ever bother Ethan. Why did you send him those messages?" The rage surging through Juliana's chest concentrated in her fingertips. She squeezed Leo's throat, her intent clear. She wanted to snap his neck. Leo's face turned a deep, mottled red. He couldn't breathe. He managed to lift a trembling hand, trying to pry her fingers away, the pain in his groin making him delirious. Jules, please, I'm not going to make it. Help me first. That part of him, his last shred of masculine pride, was in agony. If he lost that, what was the point of living? How could he ever be with Juliana, truly win her heart? If he could just marry her, the entire Croft fortune would belong to him and his son. He was so tired of being poor. He had grown up without a father, raised by a mother who ran a small laundromat, working her fingers to the bone. He had been a good person once. He'd never dreamed of stealing another man's wife. Then he met Ethan Cole. Ethan was kind, generous, seemingly without a malicious bone in his body. He'd known Juliana since they were kids and had eventually married her, becoming the husband of the city's wealthiest woman, living a life of leisure. For every one of Leo's birthdays, Ethan would gift him the most extravagant luxury goods, Hermes, Chanel, you name it. Meanwhile, Leo was just a low-level office worker, scraping by on a few thousand a month. For Ethan's birthdays, all he could afford were cheap trinkets from novelty shops. Ethan never looked down on his gifts, but Leo looked down on himself. He was handsome, capable at his job. Why couldn't he find a rich, caring woman like Juliana? The seed of jealousy, once planted, had taken root and grown into a monstrous weed. From that moment, he vowed to live a better life than Ethan. He set his sights on Juliana. Ethan was a cripple. Leo refused to believe a woman like Juliana wouldn't stray. So he started tagging along with Ethan to every event Juliana attended. And finally, he got a chance. Juliana, blind drunk, had stumbled to the wrong hotel room door. He should have sent her back to Ethan's room. But he didn't. He took advantage of her drunken state. He drugged her. Later, he got her drunk again and secretly had her eggs extracted. He knew he had found his golden ticket. If he could latch onto Juliana, he would be set for life. He went abroad, found a surrogate, and had a son. When Juliana wanted him to terminate the pregnancy, he went to her mother. He knew she was desperate for a grandchild. He was right. Juliana's mother insisted he keep the child. He had his son. Juliana, to ensure he and the boy were comfortable, bought him a mansion. He coaxed her into setting up a $100 million education fund for Caleb. She gave him everything material he could ever want. He was living a life as lavish as Ethan's, but it wasn't enough. He wanted to be the official man of the house. So he began to manipulate her, finding ways to make her spend more and more time with him. He was certain that if she was always at his place, Ethan would eventually find out. And once Ethan knew, his pride would force him to ask for a divorce. A man like Ethan could never tolerate betrayal. He had succeeded. Ethan had found out, and now Ethan was gone. But Leo had never imagined Ethan would be so ruthless. He hadn't just left. He had exposed their affair to the entire world. Leo thought Ethan would quietly divorce Juliana to protect her reputation. After all, he loved her so much. He had underestimated Ethan's resolve, and he had overestimated Juliana's affection for him. He had foolishly believed that once Ethan was out of the picture, Juliana would marry him. Instead, she was trying to kill him. Her hand was still tight around his throat. Her eyes were murderous. Even as he begged for his life, she wouldn't let go. She just sneered. You should have been castrated a long time ago. Her words struck Leo dumb. He had never imagined she could be so cold. He looked at her, his eyes red with unshed tears, and pleaded, Juliana, you said my body was strong, that my genes were good. You said you liked how wild I was in bed. Please, save me. Take me to a hospital. I can't lose this. We can go abroad. I'll get you a daughter, just like you wanted. Don't you want a daughter? Shut up. You're not worthy, she spat. She didn't want to hear another word. She saw him for what he was, a sycophant to her face, a demon behind her back. She was starting to suspect he had orchestrated everything. Her fingers tightened again. Where did you take Ethan? She demanded. Where did you hide him? You'd better tell me now. If you don't, I have 1,000 ways to make you talk. Leo panicked, staring into her eyes, trying to make her believe him. I swear, I don't know where he is. Juliana, you have to believe me. I didn't kidnap him. I really don't know. Impossible. If it wasn't you, where'd he go? You forced him to divorce me. He didn't want to, so you had him kidnapped, didn't you? Even now, Juliana clung to the belief that Ethan hadn't left of his own free will. He must have been forced by Leo. Leo's face twisted in a pained grimace. He had been Juliana's lover for years. He thought she must have felt something for him. She had bought him so many gifts, taken him to so many places. They had been intimate in so many different locations. Even in her study in the penthouse, she shared with Ethan. Her whole family knew about him. They had accepted his son. He thought this was her way of showing him he was special. He thought that without Ethan, he would become the rightful Mr. Croft. He had been so wrong. He was a fool. A sudden, hysterical laugh escaped him. The onlookers, still live streaming, probably thought he had lost his mind. He laughed, a ragged, ugly sound, and stared at Juliana. You're worried now? Ha ha. Don't you think you're a hypocrite? Weren't we having fun these past few years? You told me I was so understanding, so good at playing the game. You bought me mansions, luxury cars. For a minute there, I almost thought I was your husband. I almost thought you didn't love that cripple at all. Don't you call him a cripple? Juliana roared, her face flushed, the words hitting her like a physical blow. Leo just kept laughing a cold, mad sound. Look at them now, calling me a scumbag, a homewrecker. Ha ha. Why isn't anyone calling you a slut? It takes two to tango, doesn't it? You couldn't keep your legs closed. So who's to blame? Get this through your head, Juliana. You lost Ethan. I didn't. Slap. She couldn't take it anymore. All her despair and fury went into that one slap. The impact sent a shockwave up her arm. Leo's head snapped to the side, his cheek burning, his ears ringing. A trickle of blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Little Caleb, seeing his father hit, rushed forward and threw his arms around Leo. He looked up at Juliana, his small face filled with hatred. Bad mommy. Don't hit my daddy. He's bleeding. I hate Uncle Ethan. I hate him. Daddy said, he's the one who stole you from us. Caleb's words were the final confirmation of Juliana's catastrophic mistake. A man as vile as Leo could never raise a good child. The boy was ruined, and it was her fault. In that moment, she was filled with a bottomless regret. Her eyes, burning with a cold fire, fixed on Leo. Listen to me, Leo. Ethan is my life. If I can't find him, I will kill you. You'd better start thinking very hard about where you're hiding him. The words were ground out from between her teeth, each one laced with a terrifying fury. Leo trembled. I swear I didn't kidnap him. I really didn't. Juliana, please believe me. But Juliana no longer believed a single word he said. She closed her eyes and gave a subtle gesture to the bodyguards waiting by the door. In an instant, they swarmed forward, grabbed the screaming Leo, and dragged him toward a waiting car. Juliana didn't even spare him a second glance. She just waved a dismissive hand. Take him to the hospital, and make sure he can never have children again. Leo was the reason Ethan was gone. Juliana's heart was a barren wasteland. She would not allow Leo a moment of peace. She couldn't bear the thought of Ethan returning to find his tormentor living happily. She couldn't let Ethan be hurt ever again. She motioned to two other bodyguards. Take the boy to. She would send Caleb abroad, to a place where Leo would never see him again. He didn't deserve to be a father. In the car, Leo struggled wildly, watching in despair as Caleb was carried away, crying and screaming for him. He was frantic, kicking at the car door. Juliana, don't take my son. Please. I can't live without him. He's our son, yours and mine. You love him, I know you do. Please let him go. Juliana, I'll never do it again, I swear. I'll be good. I'll do whatever you say. I'll never bother Ethan again. I'll hide from him for the rest of my life, if I have to. Just please, let me have my son back. But Juliana was unmoved. She had no heart left to be moved. Anyone who had ever hurt Ethan would pay, including herself. The car arrived at a private hospital. It was the same one where she had hired the medical team for Ethan. She had her men drag Leo into an operating room. No anesthesia. Juliana. Ah! Leo's screams echoed down the sterile hallway. Juliana, hearing them, began to laugh. A terrifying, broken sound. Ethan, do you hear that? I'm getting revenge for you. Please come back. Please. I really can't live without you. A lone woman. She crumpled in a corner of the hospital, sobbing uncontrollably. The bodyguards didn't dare approach. Outside, the rain fell, as if the entire city was mourning with her. Leo was left a broken man, a castrated doll lying on a hospital bed, all his former vitality gone. When he saw Juliana, he smiled, and as he smiled, tears streamed down his face. He asked her, his voice raspy, Juliana, I was your lover for all those years. Tell me, did you ever love me? Even for a second? Juliana stared at him, her eyes devoid of any warmth. What do you think? I have only ever loved one man in my life, and that is Ethan. I told you, he is my life. No one can ever replace him. Ha ha ha. Leo's laughter was wet with tears. You love him? Then why did you sleep with me? Ha ha. Don't you think that's pathetic? You women are such hypocrites. His words stabbed at her heart, but she couldn't deny them. She had brought all of this upon herself. Still, she wouldn't give up. She stared at him, her eyes burning. I'm asking you one last time. Where did you hide Ethan? You really want to know? Leo's smile was pale and mocking. A flicker of hope ignited in Juliana's eyes. You know, don't you? Leo, tell me. If you tell me, I'll let you see Caleb. I'll buy you a house abroad. and you two can live there for the rest of your lives. You just can't ever come back. Is that a deal? Tell me, she pleaded, her desperation raw and naked. Where is he? It was a look he had never received from her, an intensity he had never possessed. He was consumed with a rabid jealousy. A cold smile touched his lips. I can tell you, but you have to kneel and beg me. He wanted to see just how far the great Juliana Croft would go for Ethan. He watched her, certain she would refuse. But she didn't even hesitate. She dropped to her knees in front of him, begging like a desperate wretch. Tell me, where is Ethan? I can't live without him. I really can't. Ha ha ha. You're kneeling for him. Leo's own tears fell. He had lost. Completely and utterly. He was just a plaything. Juliana had never felt a single thing for him. He began to laugh, a venomous glint in his eyes. He's dead. He's already in hell. You can go find him there. You're lying. Ethan would never die. He wouldn't. You're lying to me, you bastard. Juliana screamed, her voice cracking. As long as I can't find Ethan, you will never leave this room. If I can't find him in my lifetime, you will rot in here until you die. Juliana bought the private hospital. She turned it into a prison for Leo, ordering guards to watch him around the clock and to slap him across the face 40 times a day. Leo was treated like a dog, his freedom gone forever. The online storm continued to rage. The Croft family stock kept falling. Juliana's mother, unable to handle the pressure, held a press conference. She publicly apologized to Ethan and the public, shifting all the blame onto Leo, claiming he had deceived them all. But the public wasn't buying it. They were waiting for Ethan. They said that only if Ethan forgave the Crofts would they consider it over. The family began a frantic, widespread search. They contacted everyone who had ever known Ethan, but it was fruitless. Juliana was going mad, searching the globe for him, but there was no trace. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. She paid an exorbitant price to buy Ash back. The moment she saw the cat, her eyes welled up. She hugged him tightly, as if she were holding Ethan himself, a fleeting moment of comfort. Ash, you're back. That means you will come back too, right? But the cat's new owner told her, when Mr. Cole gave me the cat, he said its name wasn't Ash anymore. Juliana stared at him. What did he say its name was? The new owner hesitated. He said, its name is Phoenix. Phoenix. The word was a death knell. Rebirth. It meant a complete break, a total erasure of the past. Ethan wanted to forget their love. Was he going to find another woman? Was he really going to forget her completely? Juliana hugged the cat tighter, her voice a stubborn whisper. No, his name is not Phoenix. For his whole life, his name will be Ash. But she didn't know. Ethan's soul was already in another world. The body he left behind was at the bottom of the sea. The next morning, a crowd of reporters was camped outside her house. Juliana didn't hide. She faced the cameras, bowed deeply, and apologized to everyone. A reporter asked if she had anything to say to Ethan, if she planned to finalize the divorce. Juliana shook her head, her eyes red-rimmed. Overnight, she seemed to have aged a decade. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. She hadn't. She had spent the night on the sofa, clutching Ethan's pajamas, a silent, sleepless vigil. She looked into the camera, her voice clear and steady. I was wrong. I deserve to be damned. But I still love Ethan. Ethan, if you can hear this, no matter where you are in the world, please watch this. I, Juliana Croft, am a monster. I hurt you. I deserve to die. But I love you. I truly love you. I promised I would love you for a lifetime. And a lifetime isn't a lifetime if it's even one day short. If you don't come back, I will live in your room for the rest of my life. Ethan, come back. I'll die without you. I really will. And it was true. Without Ethan, she would die. She had no idea that her body was sustained by his symbiotic life force. Now that he was gone, her own health was beginning to fail. The internet was abuzz with talk of Juliana's public plea. Some said it was an act, another calculated performance to salvage her image and boost Croft Industries stock. Others thought maybe she was sincere, that she had been temporarily seduced by a scumbag like Leo, but truly still loved Ethan. They felt Ethan should come forward and give a final statement. Soon, a Find Ethan Cole movement started online, urging him to appear and make his choice. Whether he wanted a divorce or was willing to reconcile, the public wanted closure. But no matter how high the online fervor grew, Ethan never appeared. No one knew he was already dead. 3 days after Ethan's disappearance, Juliana had turned the entire city upside down. Every hotel, every public space, she had searched them all. There was no sign of him. She was broken, drowning her sorrow in alcohol. When Ryan came to see her, the penthouse reeked of expensive liquor. Juliana was sprawled on the bed, looking more dead than alive. Ryan pinched his nose, furious. He yanked open the curtains, letting the harsh sunlight flood the room. Juliana flinched, shutting her eyes. She was still clutching a set of Ethan's pajamas, the skin under her eyes dark and bruised. Ryan wanted to slap her. He snatched the pajamas from her grasp. Jules, have you lost your mind? What are you doing? Are you just going to waste away like this for the rest of your life? Give them back, she growled. Ryan refused. Look at yourself. The company needs you. The shareholders are demanding a meeting. And Caleb, the boy you sent abroad, he's refusing to eat, crying all day, wanting to come home. But it was as if Juliana didn't hear him. She lunged and ripped the pajamas from his hands, burying her face in them, greedily inhaling the last traces of Ethan's scent, trying to trick herself into feeling he was still there. Seeing her like this, Ryan's anger boiled over. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her to her feet. No, you can't go on like this. You need a wake-up call. Come with me. He dragged her to the indoor swimming pool, and then he pushed her in. Snap out of it, he yelled. What are you going to do if Ethan never comes back? Are you just going to lie there and die? But Juliana had lost all will to live. Her body went limp, sinking into the chlorinated water. Ryan, terrified, immediately jumped in after her. As he pulled her toward the surface, he saw something glinting at the bottom of the pool. He grabbed her arm and pointed. Juliana, a strong swimmer, opened her eyes underwater and looked where he was pointing. She saw it instantly. It was the wedding ring she had given Ethan. She had commissioned a master jeweler to design it just for him. Their initials were engraved inside the band. He had thrown their wedding ring into the pool. She swam down, her movements desperate, and snatched it from the bottom. Back on the pool deck, she stared at the ring, her thumb tracing the engraved letters, the memory of her proposal flashing through her mind. She had knelt before him and promised, Ethan, I will love you for a lifetime. Please marry me. When he'd put on the ring, he had said to her, a lifetime, not a day less, or I'll leave. He had meant it. The moment he discovered her betrayal, he had left without a second thought. Juliana clutched the ring, tears streaming down her face. She didn't know that at that very moment, a news bulletin was breaking on television. A man's body had been found on a beach on the coast. Not far from it, a wheelchair. The story went viral. Someone recognized the wheelchair. It was the one-of-a-kind model Juliana had personally built for Ethan. The internet erupted. Oh my God, the body has to be Ethan's. They drove him to his death. How much despair must he have been in to do that? My heart breaks for him. He was such a good person. I remember he was always involved in online charity drives. He even founded a shelter for stray cats. I heard he sponsored a bunch of orphans with the allowance Juliana gave him. He was a genuinely good man. Why would he kill himself? He even agreed to the abortion of the child he'd wanted for so long. He must have been completely hopeless. That bastard Leo deserves to die. He literally bullied a man to death. You guys think it could have been murder? Maybe Leo killed him. Conspiracy theories began to fly. The Croft family got the news. Juliana's mother tried to call her, but her phone went unanswered. She called Ryan instead. Where is your sister? She asked, her voice tight with panic. Ryan looked at Juliana, who was still on the floor, clutching the ring, her eyes swollen from crying. She can't come to the phone right now. Ethan is dead. Did you know? What? The blood drained from Ryan's face. He felt a chill run down his spine. He stared at Juliana, his throat constricting. What? What did you say? Who? Who's dead? Ethan, his mother said, her voice frantic. It's all over the news. They found a body on the beach, next to a wheelchair. The wheelchair your sister built. It's one of a kind. It has to be him. Ryan stumbled, muttering to himself, no way. It can't be. At that moment, the doorbell rang. A maid went to answer it. Several police officers were standing on the doorstep. We're looking for Juliana Croft. Jules? Ryan didn't know how to tell her. He just stared at the officers, tears streaming down his face. Juliana looked up, dazed, still clutching the ring. I'm Juliana Croft. An officer stepped forward. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. There's a body we need you to identify. A body? What? Juliana's pupils dilated. A man's body, the officer repeated. A cold dread washed over her. She suddenly started laughing. Why would I go identify a body? I'm not going. Why should I? She knew. Deep down she knew. But she refused to believe it. She wouldn't believe Ethan could be so cruel as to die just to leave her. But the officer held out a photo. Ms. Croft, our investigation shows that this wheelchair was custom-made by you for your husband. It's the only one like it in the world. It was found near the body. And your husband? He's been missing for several days, hasn't he? No, it's not him. I'm not going. Juliana's eyes were wild. She took a deep breath, glaring at the officers. Ethan is just playing a game with me. He'll come back. He's not missing, he's just hiding. I'll find him. Jules. Ryan grabbed her arm, sobbing. We have to go see. He's been gone for days. And that wheelchair. It's yours. Maybe it really is him. But Juliana threw his hand off, her eyes wide with terror. It's not Ethan. We love each other too much. He would never leave me to die alone. He wouldn't. But as she spoke, the tears began to fall. Her Ethan. Was he really dead? Had he really left her for good? Juliana cried. In the end, she followed the police, stumbling into the city morgue. Outside the cold room, she gripped Ryan's arm, her voice a desperate, broken whisper. Ryan, he's not dead, right? The person inside, it's not him, is it? Ryan was choking on his own sobs, unable to form a single word. The answer was just beyond the door. An officer opened it. A body lay on a metal table, still and solitary, covered by a white sheet. Ryan supported Juliana as she staggered into the room. His own tears were blurring his vision. A female medical examiner looked up. Are you the family? As she spoke, her hand moved to lift the sheet. Wait, Juliana gasped, grabbing the examiner's arm. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice strangled. I'll do it. The examiner stepped back. Juliana's pale fingers trembled as they reached for the white cloth. Her knuckles were white. She muttered to herself, Ethan wouldn't die. This isn't Ethan. It's not him. But her hand was shaking too violently. Ryan was trembling beside her. Slowly, she lifted the sheet. Oh God. Ryan suddenly wretched, turning away and vomiting onto the floor, his body racked with sobs. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The moment Juliana saw his face, she didn't cry. A profound, crushing grief settled in her heart like a boulder, but her face was strangely calm. She even smiled. She reached out and took Ethan's hand. It was already stiff, horrifyingly cold. She smiled at him. Ethan, I finally found you. I knew you wouldn't leave me. Get up. Come on, get up. We were supposed to go see the sunrise. I'll take you. And you wanted to rescue all those stray cats, remember? When you wake up, I'll build a shelter for every single stray in the city. How does that sound? And the baby, it's gone, but we can have another. We can have a son and a daughter. The boy will look like me, and the girl will look like you. Okay, get up already. Why are you so cold? Ethan, talk to me. Please. Her voice finally began to tremble. The tears came hot and fast. The immense pain made her double over, one hand clutching her chest. She felt like she was dying, like she couldn't go on. Ethan, please get up. It's so cold in here. She bent down, tried to lift him into her arms. The medical examiner stopped her. Ma'am, you can't. He's gone. He was in the seawater for some time. There's bacteria. Get away from me. He's not dead. Juliana screamed, a wild, cornered animal. She had to get him out of there. He was so afraid of the cold. How could he have gone into the sea? He was so afraid of the dark. He always needed her to hold him at night. How could he have faced the dark ocean alone? He would rather sink to the bottom of the sea than see her again. What kind of despair must that have been? It was a pain that felt like being flayed alive. Ethan's skin was a ghastly white. He was wearing a simple white shirt, just like the day they first met, when he was walking down a sun-dappled path in spring. With one look, he had walked straight in her heart. He had even worn a white shirt on the day she proposed to him. In that moment, Juliana could no longer stand. A violent cough racked her body, and she vomited a mouthful of blood before collapsing to the floor. She didn't know how long she was unconscious. Her dreams were filled with him. Their entire life together, from beginning to end, played out like a movie, a story that had come and gone in a flash. When she woke up, the police had closed the case. Suicide by drowning. The internet was a sea of condolences. People left flowers on the beach where he was found, a makeshift memorial for the man they felt they knew. Hundreds of bouquets lined the shore. The orphans he had sponsored held a candlelight vigil, praying for his soul to find peace. The Croft family had him cremated. When Juliana woke up, Ethan was truly gone from her world. All that was left was a small, ornate box. Ryan's eyes were red and swollen. The past few days had felt like a lifetime. He hated himself for deceiving Ethan. If just one person in their family had told him the truth sooner, maybe he wouldn't be dead. He handed the urn to Juliana. These are his ashes, he said, his voice thick. He probably wouldn't want to stay in this house. If I were you, I'd set him free. Scatter them in the ocean. He was right. Ethan would rather die than see her again. Juliana's soul had been ripped from her body. Her heart was dead, gone with him. She knew the rest of her life would be nothing but penance. It was raining hard. The heavens themselves were weeping for Ethan. Juliana wore the red dress Ethan had once picked out for her. She walked like a zombie to the edge of the sea, clutching the urn. The water was so cold. She couldn't imagine the despair he must have felt in that final moment, plunging into the icy depths. She had no tears left to cry. She closed her eyes, took a handful of ash, and let it drift into the ocean. Ryan was right. Ethan didn't want to be with her. He was dead. He didn't want to be disgusted by her even in death. So she would send him to the place he loved. He loved to watch the sunrise over the ocean. From now on, every day would be a sunrise for him. Ethan, I know you hate me. Juliana's voice was a hoarse whisper. Her long eyelashes cast shadows under her eyes. I know I don't have the right to say I love you anymore, but I do. You were my life. You're dead. So what's the point of me being alive? She coughed, a deep, rattling sound. These past few days, she could feel her body failing, her life force draining away. She had no desire to see a doctor. Her face was an unnatural, ghostly pale. No one knew that she was coughing up blood every night. Her time was short. The symptoms of her old illness, the ones that had disappeared when she met Ethan, were all returning. She didn't know that he had been her shield, that he had sacrificed himself to keep her alive all these years. But none of it mattered anymore. In a way, she was relieved. She was no longer afraid of death. The only reason she had lived was for him. Now that he was gone, her reason was gone, too. She reached into the box and scattered the last of the ashes into the waves. A single tear fell from her eye. She coughed again, another spray of blood staining her lips. But she didn't feel the pain. She just stared out at the horizon. In the mist, she thought she saw his face. He was sitting on the sand, smiling at her in the first light of dawn. A faint smile touched Juliana's lips. She reached her hand out toward the vision. One day, she would see him again, and when she did, she would hold on to him and never, ever let go.